Jones, Pro Football Hall of Famer, top 100.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
DK Metcalf from
Nate Burleson. You're watching NorbCam.
NorbCam.
You're watching NorbCam.
What's up, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you on this Thursday, a week of extremely important game coming up on Sunday. As you all know, we've got this big showdown in the NFC West against the heated rivals, the San Francisco 49ers. And so in this segment, which I like to call Behind Enemy Lines, we are going to talk to one of the biggest 49ers fans out there on YouTube, a member of the Fan to Fan Network, and got hooked up with him. And we decided we need to talk about this game and see what is going to take for either team to get a victory here. Of course, rooting for my Seahawks to get that done, but it's going to be a tough battle. So we're going to bring him in just a second. But before we do, I just want to remind everybody, I would love it if you guys could hit that like button, subscribe, that notification bell, comment, and all that good stuff. It's a huge help for the channel. So without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome, everybody. This is Nick O'Hara of Nothing But Niners. Nick, thanks for making some time to be on here, man. Appreciate it.
Man, it's an honor. I get to come to the famous NorbCam, man. Like, this is an honor here, Seattle or not, man. I love your work and appreciate it.
Thank you, man, too. I got to know you because of our alliance through the Fan to Fan Network, which we'll talk a little bit later. But you got a great website. You got a great team working together there. I hate to give you compliments because you are a 49ers fan after all, but you do some great stuff. And I'm glad to have you on here because I really do want to kind of get behind enemy lines here and find out what exactly is making the 49ers tick, what's not working, what's working. But before we do that, man, tell everybody just a little bit more about your channel, kind of where you're about, where they can find you at.
Yeah, so we have a YouTube channel that's Nothing But Niners, spaces in between. You can check us out on Facebook and Instagram. That's Nothing But Niners, all spelled out as well. If you're a Twitter follower, Nothing But 9 ERS. And then obviously the Facebook is nothingbutniners.com. There you can find all of our, avenues of podcast, YouTube, website, wherever. You can find all of our avenues there.
All right, so how did you become a 49er fan? Have you been one your whole life? Did you become one later in life? What's kind of your background in your relationship with being a fan of the Niners?
Yeah, so I left the hospital in a Niner onesie. So it's been my entire life. It's been my entire life. I've been a diehard for years, since, like I said, birth. But following this team, we've had our ups, we've had our downs. But it's getting better, and I just love the team. I love everything about the organization, the way they are on and off the football field has a lot to do with it as well. But yeah, man, I've been a Niners fan since came out of the womb.
Wow, that is a long time. That is lifelong for sure. So, well, let's get right into this matchup, man. So, obviously, the picture is pretty clear what's going on here. We've got the best division in football, the NFC West, where the distance between first place and last place, which is Seattle 49ers, 5-1. 4-3. I mean, the gap is about as small as you can get. I mean, you compare to any division around the NFL, nothing even comes close. I think if you guys were in the NFC East, you would be in first place by like 2 games. I mean, it's not even competitive. But unfortunately, we all got to deal with each other. So Seattle's coming off of that rough loss, which arguably we should have won against the Cardinals. And you guys lost to the Cardinals as well in the beginning of the season. But let's talk about where we're at right now. The big theme right now is the injuries. You guys have been decimated since really week, I guess when you guys went against the Jets, it seemed like your injury problems really got bad. And for us, man, it really got piled up just this past Sunday when we lost practically our entire running back crew, reminiscent of that last game against the 49ers to end the division or the end of the season last year where we had nobody. We had to scrape Marshawn Lynch out of retirement to basically have somebody on the field. Tell me the state of the Niners right now. Who's all gone right now, and is anybody coming back that you know of yet to start the game on Sunday?
I think it would probably be easier to tell you who's there instead of who's not there. Technically, there are a few bodies that we could get back this week. Jimmy Ward, we were down both safeties last week. Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tart were both out last week. Looks like Jimmy Ward returned to practice today, so he's probably more questionable. probably on the end of returning. That's defensively. Richard Sherman's still on the IR. You guys know who Richard Sherman is. But we have a guy named Jason Verrett filling in who's been balling out. We did get our other second cornerback in Emmanuel Mosley. We don't have any Brian Allens like played against the Dolphins where they put up 40 some odd points on us. They didn't make that change till later in the game. Too late, but Emmanuel Mosley's back. Jason Verrett's back. Both playing really, really well. K'Wan Williams, our nickel corner, who usually has really good games against Seattle. He has been on the IR. They did designate him to come back this week to open that practice window. So he's possibly he did practice today in a limited role. So he's still, Kyle Shanahan said that he's still an option that could probably play this week, but most likely not. Probably next week against Green Bay. And then Jordan Reed, the tight end, his window also got open this week. He's been limited in practice, so we'll see where that ends up. Running backs, look, we got the same issue over here. We've been through running backs all year long, right? So, we started off with 5 running backs on this team, and right now we have an undrafted guy in JaMycal Hasty, Jerick McKinnon. Both will be playing. Jeff Wilson Jr., who went off last week on the New England Patriots with 3 touchdowns, 112 yards rushing. He is on the IR now, so he will not be there. Raheem Mostert is on the IR. Looks to be for another 2 or 3 weeks. But you guys will probably get him at the end of the season. But looks to be right now pretty much Jerick McKinnon and JaMycal Hasty that's going to be in the backfield.
So at least you have 2 bodies you can at least put on the roster that actually has the designation running back on there. Seattle has 1 running back on the roster, and that's DJ Dallas, the rookie running back who has not seen much action. And that's it, because Carson is down, Carlos Hyde is down, and Travis Homer is down. Possibly one of those 2, the latter 2, might be able to play. I think Carlos Hyde's maybe is the most likely to be able to still play, since he actually hurt his hamstring, apparently celebrating. So go figure. But Travis Homer with a bruised knee.
We're used to that Carlos Hyde over here in San Francisco.
That's true. That's right. You had your time with him, but he's been behind Carson. Carson's definitely been our workhorse, and just inevitably it always seems like at some point during the season he gets hurt, and just didn't expect it to happen this soon, nor to have 2 others go down. But it'll be interesting to see what Seattle does in the absence of 2 healthy running backs. They're going to have to get very creative in ways that we've never seen before. So it's going to be very interesting. I think we've got in the super chat, Guero Munguia. He says, "Let's go Niners 37-21. I don't know if that's one of your people, but definitely we got some Niners fans in this viewing party here right now. We'll talk about scores in a second at the end, but what I want to talk about here is what was it you guys? I thought you guys were going to struggle against New England last week, given all the injuries that you guys faced. What was it that you guys did so well that you didn't just win that game, but you blew out New England in New England in a way that normally they don't get blown out? What was the key? How did you guys pull that off last week?
Yeah, it was the biggest margin of victory in New England in a Bill Belichick era. So that just shows you how well we actually played last week. And, the thing I think we did so well last week against them is they were trying to take away the edge, right? And they're playing with outside defenders. And Kyle Shanahan is a genius when it comes to calling plays and getting people in the correct position, right? So utilizing Deebo Samuel, which I forgot to mention, will be out this week, but utilizing Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, just the way that we utilize them in the run game as a receiver. Basically what they were doing is they were using all different types of formations, pretty much the same look, but running different plays out of those looks. And you guys are familiar with that in Seattle with playing the Niners so much. But what basically we did was we expanded the field. And in that, what we did was we got to the outside. So where we looked like it was play action and guys were crashing in from the outside, well, the receivers were already further out than the defenders were. So we utilized a lot of screens, a lot of quick passes like that, quick end arounds, things like that to get to the outside and utilize receivers as in the running game, which really worked well. Like I said, Jeff Wilson Jr. 8-2 because they were so worried about stopping the containment from the outside zone that Jeff Wilson Jr. just ate him up in the middle when he got the football. And then obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't throw any touchdowns, but his passes that he did throw last week and 2 interceptions, but the passes that he did throw were on the money, and he was really, really accurate last week.
I want to ask you about Jimmy Garoppolo. Obviously, he had the injury, the high ankle sprain, which I assume he's still dealing with. Like, I know those things don't heal up quickly. Like you said, nothing explosive, but he managed the game very well. What's your feeling about him? You know, there's been a lot of debate about how good or not good he is, from within 49ers fans and outside. What's your take on, just as a whole, having Jimmy Garoppolo? Are you a big supporter of Garoppolo? Are you somewhere in between? What's your vibe on just him as your quarterback?
You know, I'm a big fan of Jimmy Garoppolo, and the reason that I think that he takes so much heat is because he's doing what Kyle Shanahan asked him to do. He's not going out there. He's not putting up Russell Wilson numbers. He's not putting up, Drew Brees numbers, Aaron Rodgers numbers for that fact. But what he does in this offense is he manages the offense. And people complain all the time. Well, he's not throwing the deep ball. Well, he's not doing this. Well, that's not Kyle Shanahan's system. Kyle Shanahan's system is he's going to get his receivers open. He's going to scheme you to death to put the offensive players in a really good position while putting the defenders in a really bad position. And that's what Kyle Shanahan's system is. We got to remember, right? Seattle fans, Niner fans, whoever fans, media in general. Jimmy Garoppolo's only had one full year under Kyle Shanahan, and it was a Super Bowl year. So the guy is still learning, to be exact, But for the most part, he does what Kyle Shanahan needs him to do. He makes some bonehead plays here and there, and that has a lot to do with trying to force things, trying to force and make a play downfield or reading a field and doesn't see a linebacker or things like that. But overall, Jimmy Garoppolo was a top 10 quarterback last year in statistics. And, coming off an ACL injury, doing what he did last year and being able to take this team as far as he did. Look, he went into the Metrodome, the Mercedes Superdome, and went back and forth with Drew Brees in a 48-46 game and went back and forth with him, and we came out with the victory. So if he has to do it, I really think that he can. It's just a matter of getting the other aspects of the game to go along with it. Jimmy Garoppolo needs that help. He's not a guy that like Russell Wilson who's just going to drop back and throw the ball all day long and be as accurate as Russell Wilson is, right? I'd be kidding myself if I thought that, because Russell Wilson is one of the most accurate, best deep ball throwers in the league, if not the best. And I don't want to give him praise for that, but if you're looking for a Jimmy Garoppolo to be a Russell Wilson, you're in for a long day, because that's not who he is.
All right, fair enough. So what's your thought on Seattle has historically one of the worst defenses we've had. We actually went over this yesterday in our roundtable and determined that this is the worst defense we've had statistically in terms of yardage. We've never been last place since our inaugural year in 1976. So given that what you described and how you beat New England, and granted in New England, now you don't have a couple of those weapons that you had. You mentioned the running back Wilson, Deebo Samuel, both out, so you don't have them to be utilized. Do you see them playing and scheming the same type of method against Seattle? What's your thoughts on how they're going to approach Seattle in this game?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot more passing in this game, to be honest with you. Your guys' secondary is banged up, not doing very well, to say this year, right? So, defensively, you guys are ate up on the back end. Bobby, Wagner's not getting any younger either, and not saying that he's not still playing at a high level, but he's not the same guy that he was. Losing Jamal Adams. While I think Jamal Adams is better in the run game than he is in coverage, losing Jamal Adams, if he does play or doesn't play this week, that's a big determination, like a determining factor in this game.
And we'll find out, actually. We'll find out today if he's supposed to practice or supposed to have practiced today, and they'll announce later today whether he's in. So this is a huge day to determine whether he's going to be able to play or not.
He was supposed to practice yesterday and never did, right?
He never did, right. So today kind of really determined. So, yeah, I'm definitely not banking on it. But, boy, it would be nice if we could.
Your number one corner is out as well, right?
Shaquille Griffin is in concussion protocol.
Right, so Griffin's out.
Yeah, in an already bad secondary, the news has not improved this week. So at best, we might get back to where we were or take a step down. It depends on if Jamal's be able to go and Shaquille's able to go.
Yeah, so, I would look for the Niners to keep it simple, right? They're going to try to run the football. Kyle Shanahan is always going to try to run the football. He says all the time, if you can run the football 35 to 38 times, 95% of the time you win that football game. So I would still look for him. Look, JaMychal Hasty, this undrafted guy, is no slouch, right? He's not a slouch. If you go back and watch some tape from last week, he got in, the week before he got in. This guy's an explosive runner. He's a hard hitter. He's got a quick, sidestep jump kick, basically getting to find holes, and he has really, really fast feet. So he's not a slouch. And then Jerick McKinnon obviously is good in the pass game. Kyle Juszczyk, good in the pass game. And then you have Brandon Ayuk, Kendrick Bourne, who's come a long way compared to what he's been over the years, the 4 years that he's been in San Francisco. So I would still look for those, those quick slants or those end arounds and those type of plays to get the ball out of Jimmy Garoppolo's hands as quick as possible. And I think the way that you guys get beat, look, you got your front is not good with pressuring the quarterback right now either. I think you guys have 7 sacks this year, 6 sacks.
6, 7. I think
actually, you have 9.
9. We have 9. We have 9 sacks.
Yeah, you guys have 9. The Niners have 12. Look, we've lost 2 major points of our defensive front, right? So, but your defensive front is not as scary as it once was, and neither is the Niners. It's not as scary as it was last year. So, those terms right there, man. If you give both these quarterbacks time and coaches time to be able to spread the ball and get rid of the football as fast as possible, or get any time to step back there, it's going to be a shootout type. Well,
and I think what the chess match that it is with limited pieces on both sides will be interesting is one thing that Seattle's D-line has been pretty good at is stopping the run. They've actually been okay there. Not fantastic, but pretty good, mostly because everybody's been throwing on us, either because the teams were from behind or they just figured, well, we'll have more success throwing than running, clearly. So if San Francisco tries to run, I think we can match up there. But I think through the air, obviously that's going to be the real test. And it's funny you mentioned all these names, but I don't know if you're just playing a sight game here or what. But I haven't heard you say George Kittle. Did you mention George Kittle? Because to me, that's like the number one guy.
I shouldn't have to mention him, the Seahawks game, because you know who he is, right?
I know, but you're talking about scheme and players who are going to do this, do that. I'm waiting for George Kittle. Where's George Kittle? Because to me, he's the number one guy we've got to worry about because he's the best tight end in the game, clearly. And how do you stop that guy? And I guess I'm just looking at it thinking, okay, Garoppolo's going to be looking to throw to him as often as possible. I guess to me, it's like if we can stop him, well, we have at least a better chance of winning this game than if we don't. So certainly he's going to be part of this offensive game plan moving forward, since he is the number one guy that of all the guys who have been injured, he's one that you still got. So clear to say he's going to be part of that game plan.
George Kittle is a guy who needs no introduction. He's going to do what he does on the field consistently, no matter who he's matched up against. They were saying, there was a question asked to Pete Carroll, was this reasoning going to get Jamal Adams to stop George Kittle? And he's like, I don't know if anybody can stop George Kittle. Like that's literally kind of what he said, Look, the kid is a beast. The way that he plays the game, he's physical. He gets into this dark place and he just plays. And, I love to have him, and anybody on their team would love to have a George Kittle, obviously, right? But the way that Kyle Shanahan has been utilizing Jimmy Garoppolo in certain days or like certain games and certain downs and things like that is there's a lot of things that he's utilizing our receivers for in the run game. And like I said earlier, we utilize the receivers more in a run game, but they'll have George Kittle go out like he's, blocking his ass off out from the, whether it be in the slot or out wide. And then they'll run receivers. But then what George Kittle will do is, there's this one play that stood out to me last week, is he'll run up like he's about to start blocking, wait to start blocking, and then just break off. And then Jimmy Garoppolo throws him the football and he gets his space. And then he's turning that 7-yard gain into a 25-yard gain.
Are those run pass options, or are those just design plays from the start?
No, it's just design plays from the start where, your people are so bit on the receivers coming in, because Kyle Shanahan does, probably the most pre-snap motions.
Right. A lot of deception, game. Misdirection, and all that stuff.
All deception, and it all looks identically the same. Whereas George Kittle may block on the first 3 plays, and then the defender thinks that he's coming out to block him, and then bang, he breaks off, and it's a 25-yard gain. So this is where I say Kyle Shanahan gets his players in the right position and puts the defenders in a bad position to where they just can't recover. And then you got to hope that your safety can tackle in those terms.
Well, I guess one advantage, and this kind of goes both ways, is that unlike the Patriots, who have not played the Niners that much, we play each other twice every year. So we're more familiar with each other than really anybody else is out there. So it'll be interesting to see how much trickery can be done to fool each side of the ball. So I want to switch sides to our side of the ball in the offense. As you know, Russell Wilson's having a tremendous year so far, MVP, arguably an MVP type performance. He hurt his campaign a little bit with those 3 picks last week and hurt our chances of winning that game that we should have won. But nonetheless, he's still up there having, stats-wise, one of the best seasons he's ever had. And obviously, Tyler Lockett went to town last week, had the best year, second best season only to Steve Largent from 1987 in terms of productivity from a single receiver. DK Metcalf still doing his thing. And I'm just curious, what's your thoughts as when you saw on the calendar and saw the way this season was playing out, when you saw that, okay, it's coming up this Sunday, Russell Wilson, how are we going to stop these guys? How do you stop them from the 49ers standpoint, given the injuries and everything that you're missing on that side of the ball?
Look, I don't know if you can stop Russell Wilson, right? And I don't want to say that like as in, being a homer or anything like that, but it's very hard to stop Russell Wilson. If you can limit Russell Wilson to what he does best, and that's escape the pocket and make plays, you have more of an opportunity to beat the Seattle Seahawks. The problem is limiting him and getting him to be limited in those type of plays is where he hurts people. You look last week, he's getting all over the field, getting outside the pocket, and the Niners have struggled with the quarterbacks who have the ability to run. They've struggled for the last 2 years, right? And their pass rush is so heavy that they're slower now, obviously missing a Nick Bosa and a D Ford, 2 top defenders. They're a lot slower on the defensive line. So when you're that much slower and you have a guy named Russell Wilson, like you have to be able to be smart and stay to your assignments. If you break an assignment, he's going to eat you up. And that's just the way that Seattle plays. When we were on FTFN, I was joking with you about your offensive line, right? And, Russell Wilson is the Seattle Seahawks. He is what makes your offense go. And whether you have a DK Metcalf or a Tyler Lockett or even a Chris Carson or whoever it is, Russell Wilson is still the Seattle Seahawks offense. And if you can limit him to what he does and put pressure on him, and allow him, okay, he's going to get out of the pocket a few times here and there. He's going to get some 10-yard runs, maybe some 12s, maybe even a 20-yard run. But if you can limit those big plays from him, you up your chances probably from 50% to 75% in a chance to beat the Seattle Seahawks.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought up that little point when early in the year when we had our fan-to-fan collaboration, how you kind of attacked our line pretty heavy in the beginning. That was before the season really got going. But even to my surprise, our offensive line has actually performed very well. And Dwayne Brown on the left, he's an old guard. He's been solid. But really the surprise there, our Damian Lewis, our right guard, has been really great as a rookie. And as a whole, the line has actually been one of the bright spots for Seattle. And the reason Russell Wilson, I think, is having this successful year is because the line has given him that protection. Because Russell Wilson, in the past, there have been times when he would drop back, and the moment he plants that foot, he's got a guy in his face. And it doesn't matter how great he is. If that pocket collapses and there's a guy on him in a second, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's going down the field. It could be Steve Largent. It could be anybody. He's got no chance. But that's what the offensive line has given him this year. So you attacked our line, and they responded, man. They've actually rose to the occasion. So I do believe, again, you brought it up, the battle in the trenches is going to be important because if Russell Wilson has enough time, eventually Lockett and David Moore and DK Metcalf, they will get open. But that now transitions me to my next question, but I got to first acknowledge Garo Mungia in the super chat again. He says, NorbCam, love your chat, homie, as I also love listening to Ronbo Sports chat. Thanks for the super chat, man. I appreciate that. So you talked about the trenches, but now let's talk about the secondary, because I know you guys have some guys banged up. What's your feeling as far as the secondary being able to put some resistance against our receivers, Metcalf, Lockett, and the rest of the gang?
I'm really excited for this matchup, to be honest with you. Richard Sherman isn't here right now. He's on the IR. But a guy named Jason Verrett, who was a Pro Bowl corner in San Diego, I believe it was San Diego at the time, or LA, I don't know, San Diego, LA, the Chargers. He had a Pro Bowl year. Obviously injuries have hampered him into what he wanted to be. But the Niners stuck with him last year. We re-signed him this year. He went through an injury, put him on IR last year just to get him better. Re-signed him this year. He had a little bit of an injury in the beginning of the year, but this dude has been playing lights out. He's been playing lights out. He's probably a bright spot on this defense. Going into this game, I'm completely 100% okay with Jason Verrett on Tyler Lockett. I'd rather him be on Tyler Lockett than DK Metcalf. And the reason I say that is because Tyler Lockett is that more shifty guy. He's going to run a better route. He's more prone to his feet and using his feet compared to I'm going to muscle you out of my way if you press me, and I'm going to get downfield and I'm going to overpower you with the size that DK Metcalf has. The other side is Emmanuel Mosley. That worries me a little bit with DK Metcalf. And then obviously depends on who our slot corner is this week, because if it's Jamar Taylor, I'll be more worried about that. If K'Wan Williams is back and playing, I'll be okay with those two. Look, if I were to tell you 3 weeks ago that I was, how can I say this? If I was as ecstatic as I am right now about our corners, you probably would have laughed in my face, right? And the reason I say that is because we've gone through our fourth and fifth and even sixth corners this year, and that's where we got destroyed by the Dolphins. We got beat by the Eagles. We had no starting corners out there. We were on our third and fourth guys. A guy named Dante Johnson and Brian Allen. Brian Allen's now on the practice squad or cut from the practice squad, one or the other. But I'm okay. I feel okay going into this game with the corners that we have right now. If we get a Jimmy Ward back, I'm okay with that as well. I think we should probably sit him one more week, get him ready for the Green Bay game. But if he's ready to go, I think Kyle Shanahan will play him. And, it really does. It doesn't – your offense scares me because of the fact that it's so – usually when your offense is kicking and getting those big explosion-type plays is when Russell Wilson gets out of the pocket. He's moving around. Your receivers make something work. It's kind of similar to a Kansas City offense, right, if you want to look at it that way. Not to say that Russell Wilson can't just step back and take a three-step drop and just destroy you with his ball, right, because he can. But I think more of your big plays come from when Russell Wilson gets some type of pressure, gets away from that, gets outside a pocket to the left or right, doesn't matter which side because he can throw across his body. That's where I think you get those explosive plays. But I have faith in our corners to stick with your receivers in that sense if that pass rush isn't getting there. I think it benefits us if the pass rush isn't getting there with our two corners because they're two man corners. They'll play man and zone. The Niners have been doing a lot this year where they play zone on one side and man on the other. And they've been confusing the crap out of some guys. So I feel more comfortable, getting some type of pressure on Russell Wilson, but not allowing him to escape the pocket than I do allowing him to run around like, I call him a squirrel. And, that's what him and Kyler Murray are.
If he's a squirrel, that means Kyler Murray's a jackrabbit or something, man, because he's on a whole other scurrying level, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you get him outside the pocket, man, they're going to make something happen. And that's where I said you have to limit Russell Wilson. If we can limit him getting outside the pocket and making big plays, I think we have a very, very good chance.
Well, that was going to be my next question. I was going to kind of have you summarize. The 49ers will win this game if – finish the sentence.
If you limit Russell Wilson. That's the biggest – I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, if you – like I said earlier, Russell Wilson is the Seattle Seahawks. If you make him or get him off his A game, you saw it last week. You saw it last week with him, right? Normally if you give the ball back to Russell Wilson with 2 minutes left and then they don't score and then you go into overtime and you stop them and then you give the ball right back, you're losing that football game. And they got to Russell Wilson, whether it was a blown assignment on the running back missing for the big sack, on the rookie running back or whatever it may have been. But if you take Russell Wilson out of the game when it means the most, it hurts you. It definitely hurts Seattle.
For sure. And one of the stats is Russell Wilson, coming off of a loss, is 31-8, the best record for a quarterback in NFL history since the merger of the two divisions. So I'm very hopeful and optimistic that he won't have another game like that, because it's been, I think, 3 years since he threw 3 interceptions in one game. Hopefully he doesn't repeat that. But do you have a final score prediction for this game, man?
I do, and I don't think it's going to be as high as most people think. But I am going to go with 27-23 Niners. And I think one play from Russell Wilson, and I'm going to say it's an interception, changes the outcome of the game.
All right. Well, I'm going to do you one up. Slightly higher scoring, similar differential. I'm saying 30-26 Seahawks. And it's going to be the turnover battle that determines this game. Same thing you were just bringing up, because we lost the turnover battle last week. I don't think we lose it this time. But we shall find out. We shall find out.
You guys are +5 in the turnover differential. So the Niners are only +1, but we had 4 interceptions last week too. I mean, obviously it was Cam Newton, and I don't even
Cam Newton is one of those guys though. Is like he's either on fire or he folds like a house of cards when things get bad. So clearly things have gone really bad over there, and he does not recover.
There's one thing that we do know: this should be a tight, close game, as NFC West is always. Games are, like you said earlier, it's the best division in football. And they play it. When they play each other, it's an ice bag game, and you're gonna get beat up, you're gonna get bruises, you're gonna come to hit. The energy levels are just different, and there's a big thing that benefits the Niners this week. There's no 12s.
Yes, that's for sure. that is for sure.
So that's one of the biggest things that help you guys. And obviously, look, the Niners, last year benefited from the fans, right? I'm not going to say years before, because there are a lot of times where they didn't fill the stadium, right? But the 12s are what help you guys when we're trying to run offense, because there's a lot of communication that goes on the 49ers offense. Pre-snap motions, communication, just things like that. If you give that time to Kyle Shanahan and these players to develop and be able to hear the calls and things like that, it could hurt you. It really could.
Yeah. Well, we're certainly missing that secret weapon, the 12s up in the stands. I'm one of them. I'd be there this Sunday. I would have been there to witness all the great games at home so far. And it sucks that it can't be. But, what can you do? That's just how it is. But
yeah, this was my first year going to Seattle. This was my first year going to be going.
Oh, you were going to be going to this game?
Yeah, I was going to be going.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I had last year I went to 11 games, all over, not just at home.
And you don't live in the Bay Area, is that correct?
No, I live in the East Coast now.
So you got to travel. You got to travel to follow the teams. Wow. So you went to 11 of those games?
11 games last year. Yeah.
Good on you, games.
Man. And Seattle was supposed to be one of them last year, but something came up, so I didn't get to go to that. But yeah, I've been to 25 stadiums now.
Wow, that's awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's my big thing. I'm trying to get to all of them.
You didn't go to the Super Bowl, did you, last year?
No, I did not go to the Super Bowl. I was at the NFC Championship game, but I did go to the Seattle Seahawks Denver Broncos Super Bowl.
Oh, okay. All right. I was there too then. We were in the building. We didn't know each other. Didn't know we were going to.
Yep. Yeah, I went to that game because I had already bought tickets. And
thinking that you guys were going to win it.
Yeah. Well, we should have won that game, but we won't go there.
We won't go there. That's old news for another day.
No. And then, so I took 2 of my sisters with me. So I was just like, you know what? Let's just go. I wore my Niners stuff. I got heckled by the Hawks fans. But it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's 30 minutes up the road, 45 minutes up the road from me. So I was like, I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
It was cool.
All right. Well, hey, man, we're out of time here because this Zoom is about to expire here. So before we do, one last time, why don't you go tell everybody again where they find you, what you got cooking this week?
Yeah, guys. So if you're a Niners fan, check us out on YouTube. And then that's Nothing But Niners. You can check us out on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Play, wherever that is. Also, Fan to Fan Network. You can go over there, fantofannetwork.com. Check out the 49ers page there that you can get all 32 teams over there. So go over there, check that out. If you want to check us out on our website, it's nothingbutniners.com. That's all spelled out, Nothing But NINERS.com. And you can find all of our avenues over there: Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter. It's all over there, man. So
all right.
check us out.
All right, check out his page. Nick, I want to thank you again for taking some time to give me some behind enemy lines info about the Niners. It's going to be an exciting game, so I can't wait to see it. And good luck, sort of, to you. But obviously,
hey, look, man, let's just hope everybody comes out healthy. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. We can't afford any more injuries than it's been. So, all right. Well, may the best team win. Hopefully, it's the Seahawks, but we'll find out in just a few days. But thanks again for being on here, man. Appreciate it, and thanks to all of you guys in the chat, the super chat, and for those of you watching. Appreciate it very much. See y'all later. Go Hawks.
Sounds good. Go Niners.